One. Hey everyone, welcome to Venture Camp Finals. This is the very last week, and this is the pitch that takes it all for our contestants. So we have 6 people pitching today. First off, before we get started and dive into the pitches, I just want to say a big thank you to our premium sponsors, Shasta College and Phineas and Limelight. We have Angela Cordell here from Shasta College that's going to share real briefly with us before we get started. So Angela, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be a premier sponsor. This has just been a phenomenal event. We're so excited to hear these final pitches. Congratulations to the finalists. Before we went live, I was looking at some of the chats in the box, and you're all being so encouraging of each other, and it's just fantastic. It really speaks to the environment that's been created through this, so thank you. I'm the Regional Director of Business and Entrepreneurship. I work with all 15 community colleges from Sacramento to the Oregon border, but I am proudly hosted here in Redding at Shasta College, and we do have a number of entrepreneurship offerings through our CTE program. And those are led by Darren Gurney. And, you know, I want to say it's not lost on me that a lot of folks believe that entrepreneurship isn't something that can be taught in kind of a traditional environment. And I get that. I hear what you're saying. And in some ways I agree. But what I can tell you is that Darren Gurney comes from a family of entrepreneurs. He understands the entrepreneurial journey, and he's actually built a really phenomenal program at Shasta College that recognizes not only the need to foster that entrepreneurial and innovative mindset and give enough flexibility for that creativity and that learning, but also the value of these really important foundational business principles. So we do have a 5-class certificate that you could enroll in. You can enroll at Shasta College for the 5-class certificate. We will also be launching next year our 8-week boot camp, which we have built in partnership with the EDC and with an SBDC and with the Jedi Women's Business Center and a number of other community partners. One of the things we're very proud of is, as a public institution, we offer free and very, very, very low cost tuition, but most of the time it's free. So for people who are looking for that affordable option, we are that option. I've also been given the green light to tell you that we are working on a collaboration with Simpson College that will allow folks to transfer their entrepreneurship courses from Shasta College to Simpson College if they in fact want to continue on that education pathway. Really excited about that. So again, ideation, innovation, the entrepreneurial mindset, but then making sure that you have those foundational principles of business. You can have an awesome idea, but you got to make money and you've got to make it sustainable. The other piece that I'm really passionate about and I always push and we fold it into the curriculum is the concept of entrepreneurship. So you may be really passionate about a lot of the components of being an entrepreneur in the world, but you may not be ready to or not desire to launch your own endeavor or launch your own business. We need more entrepreneurs in the world. If you want to find out more about that, ask me. Mentorship and support, and then again, those pathways to industry credentials. I know I talked really fast, but I know you're anxious to get to your pitches. So this is my contact information. If you want more info, if you're interested in enrolling, or you just want to throw a question by me, please send me an email, or that is my cell phone number. Shoot me a text message. I would love to hear from you. Again, thank you EDC and Venture Camp for letting us support and sponsor, and good luck and congratulations to everyone who will be pitching today.
Thank you so much, Angela, and thank you again to Shasta College. We feel so lucky to have Shasta College in here with us in Shasta County. They are such a big supporter of our startup community, and so we're grateful to always have you guys on. So we are about to start with the pitches. Let's get into what we are looking for. So right today, we have our local Shasta Angels here with us in the room. They will be the ones that are judging these final pitches and deciding who that cash prize goes to. What we're looking at today is we are looking for where they're being scored on their pitch. So how good is their pitch overall? Their market opportunity and differentiation, their validation. So did they go and talk to those customers? That was week one that we did, and we hounded that in. Validation is so important to know whether or not we're going to be a success. Their go-to-market strategy. So how are they going to actually take this idea and make it real? And lastly, their business model. So here with us today, we have our local angels, Garrett Viggers, Eric Hyatt. I don't know how I did that. And Luke Miner. So if you guys want to share before we get started.
I just had one quick comment. Well, for one, Garrett is with
Fineos/Limelight. So thank you guys for sponsoring this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say a word about why you guys did that, but also to the EDC, Megan and Todd and the entire team there. I know this is having assisted with some entrepreneurial programs before, it is a massive amount of work and undertaking. So thanks guys for making it happen.
Yeah, thank you guys.
This is very cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll say it. We're honored to be a sponsor, and we pitched back in the day. Limelight pitched at the EDC Pitch Breakfast and to the Angels, and so for us to be a part of this, and you guys believed in us, and so we're excited to believe here in your pitches today, and excited to give you good feedback and be a sponsor. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. So quickly, before we get started, this is going to look a lot like the last week's, exactly like it has. Each of our participants will have 5 minutes to pitch. They will be timed. They will be cut off at the end of that time, 5 minutes, since we are on a tight timeline today. After those 5 minutes, we're going to open up the floor to questions. Those questions will just be coming from our judges, the 3 judges we have here with us. And then after that, we will go into deliberations once we have finished this whole thing, and hopefully we'll have the winner decided by the end of the day, unlike our presidential elections. So without further ado, I'm going to open up the floor to our very first presenter today, Haley Ajamian with Tail End.
Good morning. Let's see. Can you guys just see the screen, or do you see all the little people on the side like I do? I guess it's not that important. Okay. Good morning. My name is Haley Ajamian, and I am the founder of Tail End. It's an online store selling handmade, customizable, luxury dog homes that emphasize your style, but your dog's lifestyle. Success throughout history has been measured by one's ability to adapt. In 2020, more than ever, people are shopping online. We are refocusing on local economy, and whether it be a face mask in a grocery store or a boutique dog breed like your Labradoodle, Americans are customizing everything. What's really interesting is that customization is actually expanding existing markets, including the pet industry. It's estimated that even within a global pandemic, Americans will still spend $99 billion on their pets this year, and that number is actually expected to continuously grow as pet ownership has grown 30% in the last 50 years. So an online store not only helps me reach dog owners right here in Shasta County, but it pushes my brand out to the 11.5 million American dog owners with a median income of $200,000 a year. So while researching pet furniture and specifically dog houses, I found that both positive and negative reviewers had the same 3 key points of interest. Is this product durable? Is this product aesthetically pleasing? And does my dog love this product? So then it kind of hit me. Dog houses are being built for people, not dogs. And while beauty is slightly more important to the consumer, function and the dog's approval is actually too important to continuously be ignored. I've spent a lot of time looking at dog houses, both here in the US and in Europe, and I found some pretty impressive pooch palaces, but every design has the same fatal flaw. People are paying between $2,000 and $200,000 for a luxury doghouse. And all the supplier is asking them is, how big do you want this doghouse and what color? How is that catering to a luxury buyer? Well, I've created a single design that offers a variety of options for customization. Say your senior dog wanders at night or has accidents. We can add a gate to keep him in. Or you say your Boston Terrier is temperature sensitive. Let's put wheels on the house so it can be moved around with the seasons. Or maybe you have a really pampered Pomeranian and you want to add a closet dowel so you can hang up her little faux fur coats. Personally, I would probably do a cabinet with dog food and dog treats and a little built-in toy box. So like all dog stuff can get out of my house and live in the dog's house. But each one of these little add-ons is an additional cost. But it's what makes that dog house a dog home. So luxury requires a special skill and a special market. So with 62% of pet owners being millennials, my main focus for marketing is social media platforms and local networking. Americans want to support local. They know that it supports and stimulates local economy. So while I do plan to spend my energy building a following right here in Reading, I want to do it in a way that double dips and essentially saturates an outside market simultaneously. That means going viral. So I have to build adorable dog houses, photograph them, and then get lots of people to reshare that. It's a little bit harder than it sounds, but it's actually completely doable. And there's a ton of roadmaps to help you along the way. So luxury also takes money. To cover a small business setup, materials to build a high-end doghouse, to market it, and to compensate my time, I've come up with a $4,000 initial investment. And I don't expect to sell very many in the first year, maybe 8. And by the second year, maybe 1 a month. And at that trajectory, by year 5, if I'm selling the most basic model, 0 add-ons, I only have to sell less than 2.5 a month of these dog houses to make $100,000 profit. So at that point, I'd either expand with employees or I'd sell to a manufacturer. So my question for all of you is, who's in the doghouse with me? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haley. All right, we are going to go ahead and open up the floor to questions.
I was curious, you had said that you were, targeting millennials. I don't know this for a fact. I actually am pretty heavily involved with the dog treat company. So I understand a lot about the dog industry and the pet industry. I think it would seem to me, and I guess my question comes down to, what has your market validation told you? But it would seem to me people in that age range of 40 to 65 would be much more apt of buying a doghouse for $3 to $5 grand, than millennials. In my opinion, what did your validation tell you in regards to that? And do you have any remarks to that?
Yeah. So with businesses in general, people are going more and more to social media. And so people who own businesses, run businesses, whether, the tech industry is ever growing, and all of these people are using their computers, and it's kind of not going away. So I think that the local networking, that's going to get you face to face, and that's going to get your audience that's not really on social media and kind of organically building that word of mouth. While as in social media is going to reach not only young people, but everyone. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. I think that that's just going to continue to grow. And so it was a way to keep my marketing costs either low, as low as possible, while still reaching a larger market.
Makes sense.
One of the things he touched on, or he mentioned a couple times, was validation. Could you talk about how there was obviously a lot of, put a lot of assumptions and a lot of ideas together to form this. Who did you talk to? How did you talk to them? How many people did you talk to get in front of and kind of validate those assumptions?
So I did surveys, and I talked to different people. I talked to different business owners in town. Now my idea has actually shifted a little bit a few times. And so I'm not done with my market research by any means at all. I've essentially kind of started it over. And once I actually want to take my rendered design and put that into my market research as well, and actually see what people think about specific designs. I haven't quite got that far yet. So there definitely is more market research that needs to be done. But there's definitely a sellable market there.
So some of the direction you ended up going was as a result of feedback you got through validation. You pivoted in the process.
I have a question on, did the validation also reflect the price that you have, the price point? Was that a price that people said they'd be willing to pay?
Yeah, so there's actually, through blogs and just different like luxury companies that I looked through, my price point's actually fairly low for like higher end dog houses, but I wanted to start it somewhat low so that I could just do small customizations and not have to have like a huge major profit or not profit, but I mean cost. I didn't want my cost to have to fluctuate a whole lot. So I was starting with like one design. But I think there was a picture, well, I know there was a picture earlier of like the house with the columns and whatnot. Now that's going to take like building columns, sheetrocking, all of that stuff. I'm happy to do that for $200,000, but not as my first base little product that I want to come out with. And I don't typically like hang out with celebrities all day. I hang out with regular people. So I wanted to create something that was a little bit lower cost. Initially, I started off with end tables, and that was a much lower cost, and it was kind of more, everybody is more accessible to that. And what I found was that the more high end you go and the higher like your price point is, the more people are kind of interested in it. They like that picture that pops out. And yeah, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question? Did I answer it?
I think you did, yeah.
Okay.
Do you have time for one more?
One more question. Yes.
Luke, you want to go?
Yeah, go.
Okay. I was curious if you, what the ordering process looks like, and if you've thought through building any technology around, the ordering process. I kind of imagine going in and actually getting to pick what I want in my house, and it automatically builds out the pricing and kind of gets to build it online. Do you have, in your thought, are you building a model like that, or is it people call and tell you what they want, or how is that business model like go to market look? Like,
So initially, So initially I was thinking, you contact through a website or through a phone number, depending on how you get my information. And then I sit down, and I also am a mixed medium artist. So I regularly sit down with clients and I go, okay, we want a commissioned piece. What do you want to do? What's your lifestyle like? And so I was thinking it would be sort of boutique in that way, where I talk to each client and find out exactly what they want after they initially reach out. But I really do like the idea of being able to like have people build it online. That's a great way to get people to, even if they can't afford it or they aren't thinking about it right now, now they're playing with it over and over. So I do like that idea, but I had not thought initially of a website build out. It was, more I'll talk to you as an individual, you write to me or speak to me and tell me what your ideas were, and we can kind of figure out what you and your dog, what your lifestyle is. You know, do you go on a ton of walks all the time? Well, then I can suggest the leash hook to you. Or,
Yep.
you know, if your dog runs over to me and grabs the water bowl and brings it to me, well, now I know maybe you need a built-in water bowl stand. And so it was kind of just getting to know my client and their needs.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, great job.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haley.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Robert Francis with Drew's Place.
All right. Well, good afternoon, Angels. My name is Robert Francis. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and welcome to Drew's Place, a treatment center focusing on helping our clients heal from their trauma. I want to introduce you to Nate and Sophie. Nate is a discharged military veteran who is struggling with anger, isolation, flashbacks, difficulty maintaining a job. And Sophie, she's a victim of childhood abuse, and her attitudes changed real quickly all of a sudden, and she's fighting with her parents more. She's struggling in school, and she's acting out. See, 30% of veterans like Nate experience trauma, active, deployed, or non-deployed. And did you know that 25% of veterans are 25% more likely to kill themselves than non-military adults? And 66% of children like Sophie experience at least one traumatic event before they're 16 years old. Neither veterans like Nate or kids like Sophie understand what is happening or causing them to be so dysregulated physically and emotionally. And Shasta County is really lacking the resources available for veterans like Nate. See, the VA can't meet their needs therapeutically, so they often refer them out. And the therapists here in Shasta County aren't always have experience with working with veterans. And oftentimes kids like Sophie are slapped with an ADHD diagnosis and given medications, when in fact, it's probably a missed opportunity to see that there's some trauma going on. Imagine, feeling alone, scared, angry, or ashamed every day. Well, welcome to Nate and Sophie's life. Drew's Place can be the solution. Drew's Place was inspired after my best friend passed away in April unexpectedly. He was a military combat veteran and a victim of childhood trauma. We would be using the most cutting-edge research-based therapy approaches that are being used by the biggest names in the world of trauma right now. We would be offering individual and group trauma therapy, which is not being done here in Redding, California. The closest place is Sacramento. And what people would end up feeling or being able to experience is the ability to reconnect with the world, live healthy and functional lives, build lasting relationships, and take back control over their lives. And see, while Shasta County has a handful of treatment centers right now that focus on various different mental health disorders, there isn't one that focuses solely on trauma. So based on our market validation, over 70% of veterans are sharing that they are unsatisfied with the VA mental health services. 53% of them are willing to seek therapy for their trauma symptoms, and 67% expressed feeling like a number after they were discharged. Now, I really want you to focus on the children and teens. See, ACEs are adverse childhood experiences. This is an indicator of trauma. The average score in California is 2. Here in Shasta County, it's double that at 4. And what we know about kids with ACEs of 4 or higher is they are 12 times more likely to commit suicide, 7 times more likely to become an alcoholic or addict, and what's not on there is they're twice as likely to have cancer or heart disease. See, our market size is pretty substantial. We're going to be targeting 5 counties, including Shasta, and there's about 121,000 veterans and school-aged kids in these counties. And our research shows that about 20% of them are seeking services for their trauma. And so if we could capture merely 10% of that market share, we'd have a substantial amount of individuals coming to Drew's Place. So the business model, guys, this is not new. Individual plus group therapy, that's been going on for a long time and it works. treatment centers are extremely profitable. So if Drew's Place were to open tomorrow and I would be the only therapist, we would be able to bring in roughly $220,000 using individual therapy, group therapy, and psychological assessment. If we can project into 5 years, adding 5 additional therapists, that's going to be a 300% revenue increase, bringing in over $700,000 using the same 3 services that we provide. So to be perfectly honest, guys, based on everything that we've done during these past few weeks, market validation, interviews, firsthand experience, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity for Drew's Place to capture a significant number of our vets and children suffering from trauma. So let's bring Drew's Place to Shasta County and help our vets and our children heal. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Robert. Thank you so much. We will now open up the floor to questions.
Yeah, quick question. You know, you definitely had a very defined target market in the veteran and the children's, children market. Can you talk a little bit about why you chose specifically those 2 niches, not one or the other, and not any other niches,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely wanted to start small and then expand. And our research shows that our vets, this is across the nation, our vets and our kids are falling through the cracks. There's plenty of adults who are coming into treatment on a regular basis, but oftentimes kids are being, referred to indirect competitors like sports or youth groups or things like that, because they have this energy that is not, it needs to be expended, or they are acting out and they need discipline, when in fact, it's things like trauma that could be causing these things. And then our vets, just research shows that our vets are just, the VA is not able to give them what they need. And we have a substantial number of vets in Shasta County. So that's mainly the reason why.
I had a question around, go to market. How are you going to get that number of clientele? What's your plan to take it to the world?
Absolutely.
City.
Thank you for asking that. So Venture Camp has actually done Drew's Place a huge service. So I've already been contacted by numerous community members in Shasta County wanting to help write grants, offering office space to be able to have a direct referral base for kids in like community centers where kids are already there doing things, and they would be then referred to Drew's Place if they are seeing that there's some trauma symptoms. And then on the other end of the spectrum, with the veterans, I've had a number of vets already reaching out to me saying, how can I help you? I want to get guys in there. I spoke with the chief psychologist at the VA home who says, this is an amazing idea. I'm happy to refer people to you. So I haven't even had to do anything yet, which is great, but people have already reached out to me saying, we want to support this in Shasta County.
Cool. Robert, question on, so today you're a therapist?
Yes, today.
So is it basically, is that your business that becomes this? So it's what you're already doing today, or is it going to change, or?
I work in a somewhat different environment now. I work in more of the environment where I described. There's a lot of pretty good places in Shasta County that treat a number of different mental health disorders. That's where I work now. I'm the assistant clinical director there, as well as the the only psychologist on staff. And so we're pretty good at a lot of different things, but we don't necessarily focus on one.
Okay. My stepdad was a Vietnam vet, and he wrote a book on PTSD, making peace with your past. And anyways, I'd love to talk because I grew up with this, and I have a big heart for veterans and just dealing with that. And question on when you scale, when you go from the 1 to the 5, are there other people built in that you need to scale that you've thought about on the team, or is it just these 5 therapists as you scale to be able to accomplish that? Any thoughts around how you get there and the tactical team that may be required in addition to you and the others?
Right. I guess I include some clarification. Are you more talking about like administrative staff needed?
Yeah, or just to do what you're doing, right, with the 1 with the revenue, and then to get to the 5,
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
we would definitely need a front desk person being able to meet and greet our clients coming in, and a billing person. And then the additional therapists would be required to be trained in these therapeutic approaches that were on my slides, because that's going to be the strength of Drew's Place, is that this is what we do here. And so in terms of a possible road or a bump in the road to getting that would be finding the qualified therapists that meet my criteria to be able to provide this service to the vets and the kids that I'm so passionate about.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. That was all the time we have for questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, great job, Robert. And thank you guys for your questions. We will move on to our next presenter, which is Zach Shea with Boxcar Fermentation Project.
Hello. So this isn't opening. Here we go. Let me introduce you to Boxcar Fermentation Project. It is a, can't move this, this is not going well. Pop-up brew pub that enables both aspiring brewers and restaurants, entrepreneurs to shift their concept from the home into a commercial setting. The problem worth solving is consumers have ever-evolving tastes for both variety and quality in both the beverage and food industries. And our solution is a collaborative pop-up atmosphere, a large shared space with on-premise breweries and a turnkey kitchen pods for startup restaurants. It's a collaboration between two beer geeks with passions for different sides of the tap. Nick Reiser is the director of fermentation. He's Shasta County's only certified Cicerone. He's been invited to pour homebrew internationally. He's a local brewing contest winner. And myself, I have been in beer marketing for years. I'm a judge for the Craft Beer Marketing Awards, and I've even covered the Great American Beer Fest as media. So our competitive landscape. The craft beer market has transitioned to rotating. People want limited, they want variety. They are tired of the same. So out of everyone that we polled over 1,000 people. All of them were interested in activities, events, rotating taps, just a new experience for the area. And we need 500,000 is the lowest amount needed to get started. It'll cover the brewery equipment, the kitchen pods, renovations, building, the space, everything that we would need there. Sales channels. So ultimately we sell beer, and everything else we do helps that happen. From on sale, like local sales, distribution locally, events. Beer Fest was a huge one that everyone we polled was interested in. And then also have a contract and incubator brewing. So the first year, we're going to be at about 30% capacity. And then by year 5, we're still going to be at 60%. So there's a lot of additional capacity for this to happen. And then kitchen rental, it's just a fully furnished spot that lets the brewery do a lot more things and really lets someone who's passionate about that come in and do it. Marketing. So we've got social media, collaborations with other breweries, industry outreach, events, festivals, and then community outreach, really going to the breweries, or not breweries, but restaurants, talking to them. Every single one that I polled was interested in having a collaborative beer and really having someone come in and work with them on educating their team. A lot of them were even wanted me to help pick and generate their tap list. We've also got a lot of space for events and different activities here locally. Financial projections. We got a lot of room to grow. It's a proven market. All of these are proven markets. We're just putting them together in a unique way that really utilizes all of their strengths. And then ultimately the future would be a distillery, because craft beer makes amazing spirits. And then like a speakeasy and additional locations, because there's not the massive markup. Once you have the actual brewery location, you can scale this to down California for each location, costing very little. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. We will go ahead and open up the floor to questions.
Good. I have a question, Zach, about the collaboration that you said in the validation. You talked to other breweries and they were interested in doing the collaboration.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Is that, I mean, and do they want to get paid or like charge you, or like how does it work to collab and partner? And
so for some of the ones that I talked to, a big mentor of mine is the founder of Cigar City. His financial team, they own 15 breweries. Well, they own equity in 15 breweries across the East Coast. For them to come into California, they cannot reach direct to consumer. They can't sell directly to people here. So they need to bring it into California. They need to find a distributor, and then that distributor goes to retail. So all of those, they're losing margins. For contract brewing, they pay me to brew a batch of their beer, and then we can take it to market directly.
got it. So you are distributing for them. You get them into California.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Zach, is there anybody else who is doing this around the country that you're kind of modeling after, or is this a net new idea?
So the idea of a brewery incubator and a contract brewery, there's one in Florida. There's a few of them in Southern California. They have fully like turnkey brewery facilities, but nothing that really takes all of the pieces and utilizes people's strengths. I've had several attempts into the beer market, and I've learned from every one of them. And I've seen weaknesses that were really hard to overcome. And so much like building a team, I figured out, hey, instead of me having to run a kitchen, let me find someone who's passionate about food. Let me give them a turnkey facility. I found pods. I'm looking at $46,000 for a fully permitted shipping container that's built out to our county specs. It's dropped, it's plumbed, it's electrical, all of that. And that allows me to buy beer from outside of the area. It allows me to be a brewery that has other people's beer. So it's really utilizing those to create a new thing. And that hasn't been done, if that makes sense.
So nobody's taking the brewery and the kitchen and you know, creating space for both those sides.
So there's breweries that have brought in outside kitchens, but not so much in a collaborative space and to try to do it this way. So there's close and there's sort of similar things, but not like rotating kitchens to just give it to a startup kitchen and really get them to cover the cost and use that, because food doubles beer sales. So not in this way, to really try to break down barriers to entry for other entrepreneurs, as well as let me do my passion, which is beer.
Nice.
On the, so I think I have this right. You would have a brewery and then there'd be these pop-up pod kitchens. On the financial side, how are you monetizing the kitchens? Can you just walk me through really quick how that works?
So it's based on turnkey rental brewing facilities. In San Diego, they're $5 per square foot. I don't think I'm gonna get $5 a square foot, but it's pretty much just rent based. I'd like to get deeper and do a like incubator program for restaurants. That is not what I'm good at or know of, but it is definitely a possibility. Or I take a percentage like the park does, where they take a percentage of a truck sales for the day.
Good job.
Yeah, good job. Thanks, Zach. It was good seeing
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach, and thank you so much again to our local angels. We will move on to our next presenter, which is John Paul with Collab Edge.
Right. Hello, guys. This is John Paul with Collab Edge. We are an online platform that gives people the accountability, community, and mentorship they need to complete their IT certification goals. So within the industry of network engineering services, there was a $30.91 billion spent in 2016, and it's estimated to grow up to 54.69 by 2022. And that number is actually going up, thank you to COVID. It's a 9.8% aggregated growth, which is pretty substantial for such a large industry. But these people who are going to be putting in these services, we have to have employees. We have to have people to configure your networks, your wireless, your security. And so we look at network architects and administrators. In the US alone, there are 480,000 jobs in 2019. And the pay is pretty significant. We're looking at 112,000 for architects, the median pay, 83,000 for the administrators. Those jobs are also expected to grow as the market increases. So who is our target? Initially, I looked at Brad. Brad is bored at watching a monotone speaker share how his tweet traverses the internet and enters the censor bucket of the Twitter headquarters. So I thought to myself, maybe I'll create an exciting new training platform. Well, I focused on in a niche. I looked at this information technology field. I started to look further into the entry level people and within the manufacturer Cisco. So certifications focusing on networking from Cisco. However, I saw a huge demand and request from the survey results. They had 51 responses, 13 different locations across the world. And they said they want community, accountability, and mentorship. They actually said they were pretty happy with a lot of the training that's out there, but they were stuck. Some of the competitors that we have in this marketplace are LinkedIn. They have a social media platform that encourages community and also offers training. CBT Nuggets is another training provider that offers accountability and coaching. However, with all of these study groups, with the exception of Cisco, it's really throwing you into a large chat room and saying, hey, you're in a study group. Now you guys all chat to one another. There's not really a structure, and it's not very personal and intimate. And there's nothing really nailing people together once a week to making sure they're staying on track. So that's what I'm offering. The closest competitor is Cisco at $800 for 3 months. Our differentiation is we offer a private social platform. So this is not on Facebook. Half of the people in our first launch don't even have a Facebook account. Another differentiator is that we're placing people into small groups to make it intimate. We offer weekly live meetings so that they can meet with one another and make sure everybody's staying on track. And we also offer mentors for each group. One of the things that I did is I went on LinkedIn and just threw a post out through my own personal account and said, would anybody want to join a study group with me? Within 16 hours, it was full. We actually have our first MVP in progress, and we had our first meeting this week. We have a whopping total of $1.98 in net sales and a surprising $250 through affiliation sales in the first week. So our go-to-market strategy is to leverage this thing that worked for me. We're going to have mentors and people in the group reach out directly on social media to request, hey, do you want to study with me? Do you want to join a group? We're going to do it in a subscription-based model, $10 a month just for community access, and then offer training that people can upgrade the price for. The goal is to have a successful group for 3 months and then have 2 people out of that group start their own group in the next 3 months and have that grow slowly over time, which in the 3rd year would be massive in terms of revenue and growth. So that is our framework: release the MVP, grow through investing in mentors and creating new groups. And then finally, our projections are in year 1, a profit subscriptions at $2,000, affiliate at $3,000, with a total profit of $2,500. However, year 2, it jumps up to $92,000.
All right, that's time.
Nice.
Thank you so much, John Paul. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions.
Hey, John Paul, what motivates people to be mentors? So you said you're going to start off with, one group and then, or a couple groups, then have someone launch from there. Is there a way you've talked about motivating people to take that mentor role?
So yeah, one of the things that a group member in the first group asked is he wants to create training courses, small training courses, and sell them on the site. He's looked at Udemy, he's looked at Teachable, and he's seen the commissions that they take. And my offer was, you own your content, right? I'll send you to this course, which is where the affiliate revenue comes from. I send them to a course that's $1,000. I get 25% of that. And then they can sell courses on my website and they get to keep 85% of the revenue for that. And they own their content. I'm not going to put restrictions as to whether or not they can post it in other places. And so he said it would be worth his while to lead a group and then offer his own courses to get money out of that.
Perfect. What do you think your startup costs for the? I mean, obviously you started and have revenue, which is congratulations. That's a major, that's a huge milestone. But what do you think your startup costs to get the custom social networking platform? It looked like you were using a third party, and all these various pieces of puzzle pulled together for a more mass market adoption.
Right. Yeah, that all is right around $3,000 a year. The social platform it's WordPress. So we got WordPress, we got a premium plugin, Lifter LMS for the courses and student tracking, and then we have a social plugin through Buddy Boss, and they're all very inexpensive. The cost increase would be in year 2 when the subscribers start to go over 2,000. I would need to look into dedicated hosting for WordPress to make sure the performance stays there. But yeah, $3,000 a year, that's it.
Do you have an initial budget for marketing or getting the word out?
So that's why, so I was going to do that, try to push it through YouTube advertisements and such. But I wanted to try in year 1 to use the method that I did, where I just went on LinkedIn myself and I posted a post and I said, hey, if you want to join a study group, let me know. And to do that and scale that slowly over time. If it doesn't work, then yeah, I would probably start looking into budgeting advertising on YouTube and LinkedIn.
Question on your target market. If it's, kids graduating that are pre-entry or study groups for people that work at, already within the IT space, or what's the focus?
So the focus is people that are in that first stage of either they just got their first IT certification or they are looking into getting into that area. That was my focus. However, through the post, I have all the way from industry experts to mid-level to entry-level in our first study group. So it looks like it really depends on what study group the focus is on. But yeah, the goal after this or moving forward would be to focus on entry level, because that's going to be a larger market. and the quickest way to grow. So after we finish our first study group, hey guys, which one of you wants to start a entry-level certification study group, right? And then have them reach out to those people.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool. So it's kind of like a coder camp for Cisco, kind of like you get that certified, you get done and you go.
Yeah, and it's the whole drive behind it is helping people move forward by meeting once a week with like 5 or so people on a Zoom call and say, hey, look, we all said we're going to study 30 minutes a day, and we said we're going to get this far in the study material. Now, did you do it? Right? And when you have that face-to-face interaction, then you're a little more likely to get it together. And then farther down the line, I have an idea of implementing a consequence. So if you don't do your homework, what you said you would do, you have to contribute $20 that week. Whoever finishes gets to take a share of the bucket. There's already a bunch of platforms and apps out there that implement a structure like that for starting new habits and stuff.
Great, cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John Paul. That is all the time we have for questions. So we'll move on to our next presenter, Torben and Brendan with Builders Fund.
Hey everybody, welcome to Builders Fund. At Builders Fund, we asked the question, why can't everyone be a shark on Shark Tank? Well, the problem is that everyday investors like you and I don't have access to that early stage equity. Also, we're heading for a funding crisis. COVID has said that businesses, new registered businesses have doubled, and early stage founders are struggling. We've struggled ourselves to try and find funding as early stage founders. And it takes time to build trust between investors and founders. Builders Fund is a web platform that puts you in the room on day one as if you were at the first day of Airbnb, Uber, or Twitter, for example. But it's easy, like Robinhood for early stage startups. And we leverage the crowd, but more specifically, equity crowdfunding, which is a brand new space, but with a lot more protection for non-accredited investors like you and I. So our customers are really the next generation. Alex, an investor, wants better communication with founders, better due diligence, while Susan, a founder, really needs help to learn about, like we're doing here, about how to get started in early stage funding. When we surveyed our customers, 22% said that competitor sites offer no protection and often scammy. And also founders right now are saying that 72% of the ones we surveyed are saying that private funding is where they want to get their money from, including angel investment. We also surveyed our customers, and while they have first mover advantage, we get to learn from them, and we get to differentiate from them, and we get to leverage their growth. Just this year alone, the market has doubled to almost 700 million, and the average raise to 340K. And this week, regulatory approval for not accredited limits to go up to 5 million. Our market is huge. Equity crowdfunding is just 0.2% of $1 trillion marketplace. But why is this happening? Well, less than 0.5% have access to VCs, and typically only in metropolitan areas. And there's that COVID growth. What is our go-to-market? Well, we want to be super intentional. We need to educate heavily investors and founders and incentivize them. And more importantly, build relationships, deep partnerships, and an interesting regulation that was released this week, which will allow us to integrate directly with accelerators and actually make Shark Tank an actual virtual live system that anyone can use. This week, we went live with our content marketing, and we got a really healthy 10% click-through rate. But what is our business model? So what we're looking at is a very simple pricing model because our competitors have complex models. 7% of this fund raised plus $250, which is an upfront consulting fee to do all the due diligence. We believe by year 3, we can capture 1,500 startups, taking a low base on average raise, not even the one you saw previously, to release 14 million funding by about 2023. But why are we different? Well, we focus on due diligence. Our competitors are seen to be poor or don't even have due diligence. Our pricing is simple, and we're going to build in targets for founders to meet. Those are project milestones where investment will be released on specific when those milestones are reached, and there's accountability and independently, those milestones are independently audited. We can also launch a secondary market. Again, new legislation that was released in Wyoming this year, and we get to make a competitive environment, making Shark Tank real. So let's build this. First 12 months, we're looking for 340K seed round to raise our first 150 raises, bringing a 1.8 million revenue. Who are we? Well, Brendan and I have worked together already for 2 years. My background is in operations management in banking and finance the last 20 years, including delivering regulatory systems for the UK. Brendan has also 20 years experience in IBM building products, and more specifically in our proprietary blockchain technology that we'll be using for this. We've reached out to legal counsel, and we know we need partners in the marketing and other areas for partnerships and relationship building. And also we want to build good relationships with our advisors. Thank you so much for listening, and I really appreciate your feedback and questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Torben. You know the drill at this point. Go ahead and ask your question.
So Torben, I, as you may know, had a stint in crowdfunding 6 or 7 years ago. It was just in crowdfunding for causes, so nothing to do with equity. At that point in time, there was a massive conversation around equity fundraising through crowdfunding, and they were basically non-accrediteds were locked out of the dance. There was no metric for them to be part of. Could you just explain how that has changed and how something like this is possible? It certainly wasn't 6 or 7 years ago.
So just to clarify why it's possible to do equity crowdfunding for non-accredited?
Equity crowdfunding for non-accredited and online was both of crowdfunding in general was for equity, even accredited was highly, highly regulated. And then for non-accredited, it was basically a no-go. If you didn't know the person, you weren't supposed to take money.
Yeah. So in May 2016, new rules were released around equity crowdfunding, and they expanded the regulations D and A and also crowdfunding regulations. It's called the Jobs Act, and actually every single competitor has entered the market only off the back of that, and that happened in May 2016.
Okay.
And also that actually includes having a funding portal as well. So they're very specific about the different components that you can have, including the brokerage part.
It's also not just in the US, so that was a US regulation, but here in Australia, the same sort of thing happened about 3 years ago. Very, very similar regulations opened up here in Australia. So it's not just a US thing, it's even a global sort of trend.
Hey, Tobin and Brandon, are you guys, you had mentioned building the back end on blockchain. Do you guys have experience with blockchain, or how are you going to manage that?
Yeah, I'll let Brendan jump in as well, but Brendan and I have been working together for 2 years. We run a enterprise level blockchain consulting and software development company on the technology that we use. So we have 2 years experience, and the experts that we have leveraged both on our own team, so we can actually leverage our own developers and the community that we've developed around in this ecosystem. So yeah, we're really, really confident that we can do this.
Robin, can you explain again the $345,000 funding again? How you were using that and how that got to the revenue? Can you just explain that again?
Yeah, it's if I'm allowed to share my screen again. Okay, I know where it's gone. Anyway, before the actually, it's important to note before the 345K, we're actually planning to do a small MVP, and we believe we need about 50 to 100K to do that. So actually, when we're looking for the 345 seed round, we'll actually already be in revenue. And so what we're hoping to do between now and that seed round is to actually get those first few customers. And we are looking at about a revenue of about 140,000 to come in to cover that 100,000. But yeah, that seed round is really for that post early rev, post MVP 12 months.
Right, but then you said you were gonna like fund a bunch of companies with it, and then it got to the revenue. I'm just trying to understand how that 345 got to the revenue. How you spent it to make the revenue. You had 3 numbers on that slide.
Yeah, so we've done a cash flow projection, and we've worked out, like, when we include the team, when we include, for example, the software development, we include the legals, there is a significant legal component, and when we include marketing and sales, that's the number that we came to. We did like a full 12-month projection. So it's about building the base system and being much more streamlined than, say, the MVP. And that will also be built directly on the blockchain. So all the tech will be hardened, all the all the other capabilities we've spoken about will be in place by that point.
Okay.
Did I answer your question, Gary?
I think so. I think it was like 150 startups you were going to fund to, or that was in the middle. Is that what that was?
Yeah. So we believe that we can capture about 140 startups that get actually funded on the platform. So the number of startups we'll need will be much more than that, but we get 150 that are actually reach their funding goals, and then the revenue is 7% of that.
Yeah.
And the average raise we had was 180,000, but we know that that average is increasing all the time.
Awesome. That is all the time we have for questions. Thank you so much, Torben and Brendan.
Great job.
Brendan, thank you again for showing up in the middle of the night in Australia.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we are going to move on to our last pitch of finals. We have Monetizing Perino with The Garden.
Hello, my name is My name is Monetizing Perino, and I'm the founder of The Garden, the Creative's Greenhouse. So, what is The Garden? The Garden serves as a cafe and a hub that focuses on creativity. Paint, write, create, and share as you enjoy your freshly brewed coffee. I created a survey to know what people wanted. I got 124 responses. 72.6% want community events. We are going to fill that need by having open mic nights, jazz nights, and spoken word. 66.1% want creative space. We're going to create an atmosphere that inspires creativity. 60.5% want a platform for artists. We're going to cater to that need by having a designated area and an online platform for artists to showcase and sell their work. And lastly, 51.6%, they want a creative workshop. So we'll have paint and sip classes, finger painting for kids, and music lessons. My target market is men and women ages 18 to 40, and art, music, reading, and coffee enthusiasts. My potential market is 52,000 people who are in a 10-mile radius from Reading's City Hall. My competition. There's Theory, Evergreen, Heritage, and Makery. I looked at their strengths and weaknesses. So the strengths of Theory and Evergreen is they have a strong customer base and they have a beautiful space for people to lounge. However, they don't have a creative space, they don't have community events or artist platform. For Heritage, they have community events and they support artists. However, they only are event-based creativity, meaning it's not a daily thing. And for Makery, they have workshops and they have a beautiful studio space. But again, they're only event-based creativity. And since it's a venue, it's not every day where you can just lounge and hang out with them at that place. So what makes The Garden different? Our goal is creativity. And we're more about atmosphere than about coffee. And at the garden, you can paint and create while you're enjoying your coffee. Create, lounge, and share in the same space. So going to market. We feel like the most strategic way to start up with our business is as a starting up as a pop-up. This will allow me to collaborate with other businesses, and I will create an experience. This experience will include artist marketplace, artist-led workshops, open mic, having music, having a coffee cart, movable comfortable seating, and a rotating art exhibit. This will allow me to test out the market and build up my customer base before I actually have a permanent location. And this will help me to increase revenue over time. So the pricing. For the coffee cart, I'm starting with $2.50, a latte for $4.50, tea for $4, and water for $1. Just keeping the menu simple. Workshops, adults for $25 for 2 hours, children $20 for 2 hours, art with a 25% commission, and plants with a 50% markup. So my startup price is $19,523. That includes the equipment, inventory, the business license, health permit, business insurance, the trademark, food and safety certification, and marketing. So my projections for year one. My fixed costs, I went to a roughly $500 a month. My variable costs about $900 monthly. And in 3 months, I expect to break even, making $1,550. And I expect to make about $40,000 in revenue for the first year as I'm building up my customer base. So what's my plan for the future? I plan for a permanent location, having an actual coffee bar, having consistent programs, having studio rental space, and a conservatory greenhouse where I could sell my plants, and it can act as a quiet area for students and readers. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will go ahead and open up the floor for questions.
Who's your competition? I mean, I know you went over that one slide, but on like the overall idea, is there anyone doing this across the country?
Across the country, there's this place in New Jersey that's called the Art Factory. That's actually where I had my wedding. But it's more of a venue and less as a cafe. So that is like a bigger scale of what I want to do, but mine will be more for lounging, and that's like a monthly subscription base. So they have an area where they have like a wood shopping class that if you have a monthly subscription, you can come in, use their studio spaces, do wood shopping classes or whatever workshop they have. But yeah, it's kind of similar to that, but not exactly like the garden.
You obviously put together some amazing images of what this could look like, which I'm sure if you could create that space in Reading, we would all be frequent visitors. Have you kind of figured out what the build cost of that? Or how much is it going to cost to actually build out a cafe like that?
Well, for an actual location, I don't have the exact cost, but when I was looking, it would head to about almost $200,000. So that's why I'm starting as a pop-up. So at least I can test my market and know exactly what they want before I put up that big amount of money.
Nice.
Teresa, are the programs, are those volunteer or employees, or how do the people that run the programs, and are they like anyone just says, hey, I want to do this artistic program? Or
for startup, luckily my husband is an artist and a musician, so he can teach those classes for now, and we have a lot of connections with those. So we're working out ideas of whether we're doing employees or having kind of like a monthly subscription, like for the artist who's teaching, that they can do those for the workshops.
Got it. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Well, if that's all the questions we have, then I think that's all we have going on for today. So thank you guys so much.
Great job.
You guys did awesome, each and every one of you.
Yeah, good job, you guys.
All right, so we are going to take time now to go into deliberations. We will be going live on Facebook to announce the winner. So stick with us. and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you again for all the time that you put into this. I know each and every one of you worked super, super hard. And so know that we've been so impressed, and each of you, I wish we had money for all of you, because you guys really killed it. It's been a long 4 weeks, and I know a lot of you have full-time jobs and kids and all the things. So it's been fun, and we are grateful that you've been on this road with us. So we will be in touch shortly.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
You're awesome.